Did you think of moving away? Oh, no, then again, San Francisco. At last, the cult of Frisco!
All right, welcome to the Cult of Frisco podcast. My name is Gary Beekler. I'm in San Francisco, California, and I am with, as usual, Harry Maldonado in New York City, Brooklyn to be exact. Hi, Harry.
Get the rope.
Get the rope. Whoa, what?
Do you remember those old El Paso commercials with the salsa?
Yeah.
Like, where you from? That's from New York City. Get the rope. And they
Get
like
a rope.
hog tie the guy from New York.
Oh.
So I was like, the throwback kids.
Wow.
Google it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even appropriate anymore. Get a rope. Fucking
well, you know, 50 Shades of Grey brought that back into the populace.
Yes. Oh my god! Did you just say 50 Shades of Frey? I'm just thinking of
I said gray. I said gray. I might have mistakenly said for the first time, but
there's a Game of Thrones parody in there somewhere with the red wedding and the phrase. Okay, somebody on YouTube work on it. Okay, so this we are going to be covering Before the Flood, and I even got the episode title right this time. I just got them confused. I don't know why, because they were insignificant. But let's really quick dive into this one, Harry.
You got that one right the last time. You couldn't get Under the Lake right, but you knew Before the Flood. That was in your head already.
And which is funny because I feel like Under the Lake was a better episode. And what did you think?
It was so good. Under the Lake was so good, and I had high hopes for Before the Flood. And it's like I actually didn't get a chance to see it till last night. I finally found a link for it, and I'm laying there watching it, and it opens up with that question. I will say I did like the opening credits done with a little more of a guitar feel. That was like nice change. And the girl who was the fan girl, O'Donnell, which I said, I'm surprised she didn't died.
We both said
the
dead
one character I was like, the one character I didn't want dead died. And it was just like, it was interesting, but I don't know. It just like, I think from like where it started to where it ended, it was like I just said when in a little pre-production meeting, it had a very strong opening and a weak finish.
Yeah.
And that's why I just kind of felt like I was like, oh, that was it. All right. Like, yeah. I would say I enjoyed probably 70% of the episode. I would say 70% of it I enjoyed. Like there were still moments like when they figured out that the signer was unaffected because he never read the thing, so he could bypass everyone. I thought that was cool. And there was the scene where the deaf woman like touches the ground and could hear everything. I thought that was done really well. I thought they still had the creep factor going on for the present day stuff, the present day flood stuff. I felt that stuff was still really strong. It was them when they got into the timey-wimey thing in the past, and the moment there was just a moment where I'm like, the doctor's in the crate. It was just like, it was no surprise that the doctor was like, he wasn't going to pop out of the crate. It was
That's
like,
such a Moffat thing to do with the 2,000-year-old wait with Rory and the girl who waited. Rory.
And exactly, it's like
it's very Moffat.
Rory. It's like the Pandorica. Yeah, it was just like it's very Moffat to have like the character be inside the thing. But yeah, it was just kind of like. But by the end of it, I was kind of like, all right. It wasn't like it was. It had the thing was you had 3 really strong episodes, and you had the 4th was like, because even the 5th one, the girl who died. I wasn't so quite sure about it. Like when I saw the previews about how am I gonna even like this episode, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was so
which we will talk about later.
But it's like, yeah. But I want to say of the 5, Before the Flood is probably the weakest of the 5 right
Absolutely.
now.
I could not agree with you more. It was 70% a good episode. What really okay, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to say here's what I would have done different. I would have kept it. I would have made the Doctor not part of this episode. I would have left him out of it. It would have been one of those ones like Blink, where he's the only time you would have seen him is when he actually confronts the Fisher King. That little scene was really old school, cool Doctor Who, because it's been a while since we had a species who knew who the Time Lords were and spoke about the Time War. And really, took the Doctor to task, and it was just the Doctor measuring up a really scary enemy, but not being scared of him. He looked scared at first, but then which I think he really is. But I we'll talk about the next episode later. It revealed a lot about the Doctor. But O'Donnell's death is what pissed me off, because it felt like, well, we're gonna kill somebody just to kill somebody, because he totally could have gone back and changed that one. And it wouldn't have done.
He could have. It was like so, and that was the thing. It was just kind of like, why? Like, I didn't think anyone needed to die. They didn't.
Except for the first guys, the other ghosts.
Except for the first guys.
O'Donnell's.
The initial ghosts. But the thing was, O'Donnell. It's that thing where Doctor Who does, where it's like it's the character you like, and it makes it hurt. Like, what was why am I blanking on the episode? I think it was the Children of Time, like the Journey's End, where they had this whole flashback with the Doctor from season series 1, 2, 3, and 4 of like people who sacrificed themselves in the name of the Doctor to prevent the tragedy from happening, because it's, being like, well, they're like, and it just kind of felt like, no, not another one.
Her death wasn't really even a sacrifice.
And
it was meaningless.
It was a meaningless death. It was just kind of being like, it wasn't like to show like, ooh, he's bad. We know the villain's bad because he killed the caretaker, the little apprentice. Like we knew he was bad. He killed him. He's trying to bring up an invasion to Earth. We know he's evil, so why did you have to kill her?
Yeah,
like what was the whole point? The only thing that her death did was cause the guy who was with them, who I'm blanking on his name, to tell the signer boy, tell her you love her.
Yeah,
which
was again,
don't wait.
That's what's so disjointed about this episode, is because that was such a great scene, and it had great moments, like the introduction where Doctor broke the fourth wall. That was great. Like, and they talked about the bootstrap paradox, which is nothing new. I mean, like Doctor Who practically uses it every episode. So let's not even get into the bootstrap paradox. Like Doctor says, Google it.
Google it.
But what's starting to become, it's twice, but the red shirts for Doctor Who are fangirls. Once you're a fangirl, you're dead. Osgood and who's coming back in some way, shape, or form. But
some way, shape, or form, we're getting her back. Yeah.
But let's talk about real quick what's becoming the underlying theme. And again, we're doing 2 podcasts in a row, so if you do hear us refer to the next episode, just ignore it. The underlying theme is who can the Doctor bring back and who he can't. It's it even stretches back to last year with Death. And Stephen Moffat did say, inspired by Game of Thrones, that he's going to start offing people again, which, I mean, admittedly, in the old Doctor Who's happened all the time. But again, the deaths, you don't just kill somebody to kill somebody. And that's what was, it was half a good episode. It was frustrating to watch, because I felt kind of pissed when I was done watching it.
I don't know. I guess if they were trying to do something kind of like what is the God Complex episode, where everyone's being picked off one by one, I think if it was in that kind of vein, it'd be different. But it would have been, it was toying with the 3 of them, but it was like an automatic bam right out the gate, and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay. Like once they split up, I was like, she's dead. They just killed her off. That's her right there. Or no, actually, it's like when you even think back when he tried to keep her in the TARDIS, she was like, I'm not gonna. She's like, I'm not gonna stay in here. I'm going on an adventure. And you're like, there it is, right there. Okay, there. Yeah, there we go. She's gone.
Yeah. Oh, the God Complex. That's such a great episode. It's such a tragic episode. It's one of those ones that's. It's kind of like for me anyway. The Girl Who Waited. It's hard to rewatch that one because it's.
Yep.
But that's it's Doctor Who. That's the greatness of it. And those deaths were tragic. And the thing is, the great thing about the God Complex is you felt sorry for the bad guy at the end because he was just doing it that's what he was programmed to do, and he's like, please help me stop, kill me, which was kind of like Mummy on the Orient Express. There's a lot of repeating themes, but overall, this will be a short one now. We're going to say that kind of, I don't know, thumbs down, whatever you want to say about Before the Flood. It didn't need the Doctor scenes at all. If you would have, like you said, if you would have stayed under the base, because, that one scene where he's dragging the hammer, that was good. Good. If you would have just had him communicating on the iPhone, that would have been awesome. And you just you just flash to one scene of the Doctor. I think it would have been a better episode and a real showcase for Clara. So we're gonna. You got anything else to say on Before the Flood?
Let me see here. I think they still had strong acting from the guests of the show, of the episode. Script wise, putting them both together as like one full like production, the script would be about 80% solid.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the scene, going back to the best scene in that entire episode, which gives why I think we give it like such a high regard, is the scene where it goes in and out of, you hear what's going on and you hear what she hears, which is nothing, and which it's just like it's this whole creepiness of it, the fact that she's by herself and you have someone with an axe chasing her. She doesn't know he's behind her. He's behind her, and it's just the ambience is like super creepy, super chilling. And then she just puts her hand on the ground, hears the vibrations. I just love the effects that they did for that scene. And then you have her like ducking when he throws. Exactly, very Daredevil. But that's all like the other senses kind of heightened because you don't have one. That was just really strong, and she was great. I thought she was a great character, good foil for the Doctor. But yeah, it's like, the villain didn't really, aside from killing O'Donnell and sending that message, he really didn't do much. Like, he had the potential to be like, I expected him to beat the Doctor. Like, or not beat the Doctor, but like, kind of like at least throw the Doctor around a bit to kind of be like, I'm like, you pitiful old man kind of thing. But it was just like he was killed.
Just a guy in a costume. Hit him. And it was such a cool looking costume too. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And a good voice and everything, just wasted. And if you don't have the budget to do something, then don't do it. Then don't do it. And I think
I don't know. Maybe this will be one of those that had like bonus scenes in the DVD that you're like, oh, this made the episode even better.
Yes, totally. But I just, I know how Moffat works. And I watch way too many extra, specials and stuff. But what they do is they come up with concepts and they build stories around concepts, which is cool. But I mean, like, you want to build a story naturally. It's like, oh, we want to have a ghost episode and a Clara-centric episode and a graffiti episode and a, which is good, but that's how stories start, I guess. But, and you know what?
Yeah.
We sit here and critique. I love Doctor Who, and I mean, like, you're a writer, and I've written before. You know how freaking massively hard it must be, and how good you have to be to just every year come up with 13, 20-something episodes, a story arc on this really rigid timeline, and it's I don't think enough people appreciate that.
No.
That's
really
the thing, like, amazing.
From a screenwriter standpoint, it's like I get what they were trying to do, especially ending again with the same question they started with the Doctor saying that, the ghost that we saw at the end was actually a hologram. He had, I had learned what I need to do from that hologram. Leads the question, who programmed the hologram?
Yep.
And then, so is that going to be one of those things that you're going to find out later? Are they going to throw that back at you, being like, "Oh, I did this"?
Well, they always do.
It's always throwaway lines too. Like when Misty was revealed to be the girl in the shop, it's just like she's like, "Oh yes, blah 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 blah." You're like, "Wait, dude, huge reveal right there. Why did you just like?" He's just kind of like nonchalantly stating things.
Yeah, he is.
Rare.
Yeah, you know what? I like that, and I don't like that, and we'll talk about that again in the next episode. But yep. But you know, like when Amy wrote the letter in she had to go back and write the letter. I can't. Or when he had to go back and get the mop. You know, in the Big Bang. You know, and it was just I need that mop. You know, with the vortex manipulator. Don't do something like that. You're right. But well, okay. So sorry. You know, we don't like to be negative here in the Cult of Frisco, but Before the Flood just, wasn't good. Wasn't good. One of the weaker. It's like In the Forest of the Night or whatever it was. The second.
Yeah, that was the one.
That was a lousy episode.
It was kind of like that. But the thing is, there's always like the one episode a season where you're kind of like, that could have been better.
But there's next week's episode, which we're going to talk about next, and that was different. So
that was so good.
Oh my God, I'm not supposed to cuss anymore because I put us on a different setting on iTunes and I put not explicit, so I'm going to have to cut out all my cuss words because I want kids.
Oh, see, you should. Hello. Every other word out of my mouth has been a cuss word.
It's okay. I'll be busy. Our beeping is a little sonic screwdriver going. So. Okay, so we're gonna wrap that one up, and don't be surprised in the next episode if we're wearing the same clothes and we look exactly the same. Bye.
There, I messed my hair up. There, my hair's messed up. There, I'm totally different.
So
actually, I wore this shirt
San Francisco.
did it too. So I'm just like,
All right.